When did you realize a habit was holding you back?
So early on in my training, I thought the more the better. And I was just overtraining. And I would work out twice a day. I would go for a run even. And it was probably because I was unemployed and bored. But it definitely did not mean more progress. And I think a lot of people, when they get into training, they think go hard, go hard, go hard in the gym. And that's going to get them all the results. And that's not necessarily the case.
Do you think people actually break habits or just replace them with stronger ones?
I think it's a cycle of death and rebirth. You need to kind of know what are the things that you want to let go of and what are the things that you're wanting to move into in order to find out what habits you need to break and what habits you want to implement. So it's definitely a push-pull kind of a situation. The more that you actually embody who you want to be naturally, the lesser habits are going to fall out of place because it's no longer in alignment with who you actually want to be.
What's one physical routine that became a spiritual practice for you without you realizing it?
For me, it was definitely finding out and feeling what flow feels like, because you can find this in so many different practices, and it just doesn't have to be physical. It could be simply doing arts, it could be drawing, it could be creating music. But in the realm of physical fitness, I definitely feel the most spiritual or the most in alignment when I'm doing some kind of flow aspect. And this is kind of why I love flow practices or mastering practices, because whether it be martial arts, whether it's boxing, whether it's working out with the kettlebell, with your body weight, with acrobatics, with the steel mace, with the rope, there's literally so much you can do. But as long as you get yourself to the point of mastery enough where you can start to flow, that's when you lose all sense of who you are and actually become present in the actual movement itself. And that for me is the most spiritual thing possible, because it's less about you, less about your own worries, your own, I don't want to say dreams and aspirations, but all the things that are holding you back. It's less about that and more of the actual practice itself. It's you embodying that movement beautifully. And so that's where I feel like it's the best thing. When you embody flow and whatever it is that you do, that's when it becomes spiritual.
So, honestly, any practice that you dive deeply into and you commit to for years will teach you profound things about yourself, about others, about your spirit, to tie into the spirituality aspect. Like, I've played soccer my whole life, and now at the ripe age of 27, I'm starting to understand how deeply it has taught me certain spiritual principles. Wellington touched upon just the ebb and flow of things, and also getting into a meditative state where you're not really thinking, you're just doing, and then the ball just exposes all your weaknesses. And if you're in a handstand, you're forced to be present, and that's pretty much what the goal of peace and spirituality, I feel like, is. It's like we want to be present and we want to see the moment for what it is.
How much of changing a habit is mental versus environmental?
I think both play a crucial part. If mentally you're not committed to the habit itself, you're not going to necessarily have the willpower and the strength needed to bulldoze over any obstacles that might come in. Because at the end of the day, if you're trying to change who you are, if you're trying to change habits, there is going to be resistance. That's just part of the game. Your old self is going to want to attach itself and keep yourself to who you are. When you're changing into somebody completely different, it's best for you to mentally be prepared to be committed to that, but also to set up your environment in a way that's actually able for you to actually change your habits easily. So for me personally, what that looked like when I really wanted to focus on guitar and play guitar, instead of having my guitar set up on my wall where I would barely touch it, I would literally have my guitar next to me in bed, so that anytime I would fall asleep or anytime I would wake up, I can just immediately practice the guitar. Even if it's for 5 minutes, at least I'm doing the practice, and at least I'm changing who I am, becoming somebody different and embodying myself in a completely different way.
So, as Wellington said, changing a habit is both mental and environmental, but it does start
Right here.
right here, if you didn't hear that.
So
you decide what your environment is here before you actually go there. So like if your friends are going out, right? If you didn't shift in the mentality like, hey, I can't do that anymore, then you're probably gonna go and fall into your old habits and fall into those environments that aren't serving your new purpose. So they definitely go hand in hand, and a strong mentality is the basis for all the rest of your habits. Do you think breaking habits is really about becoming more of who you already are?
That's a loaded question. And I feel like for anybody, the most important thing you can do to actually figure this out is be so truthful with yourself and be so honest with yourself and be so reflective. So for me personally, I have built my identity currently through fitness. So if something meant me not working out, for me that meant the end of the world, right? But recently when I had to really focus on healing my gut, there was a period in time where I did have to slow it down a little bit. And so part of me was highly resistant to that change. I didn't want to stop working out. I didn't want to stop making all the progress that I was making. But in order for me to become better, I had to sacrifice it just a little bit, just for now, to then embody it in a stronger way. So when I did decide to put down fitness, to slow down a little bit, I decided to learn more about editing, more about content, and more about actually expressing my own truth, so that by the time I do go back to fitness, I'm actually able to share the knowledge and share the information in a much more impactful way. So I feel like this is where reflection comes, because if I wasn't self-talking and noticing that maybe I have too much of an attachment to this, I wouldn't have been able to let it down. But this is where, again, being honest with your own mental chatter comes into place. Because if you're lying to yourself or bypassing yourself, your subconscious still knows that, okay? You can't cheat yourself. So be honest with yourself is my best bet when it comes to that. But also learn when you need to give things up now so you can enjoy it a little bit better later and actually become more of who you are. If I'm consistent on the weekdays, but as soon as I go out with my friends on the weekends, I can't seem to stick with my habits. Do you have any recommendations or tips for that?
Okay, so when you're trying to... The simple answer is lie. You lie to your friends. I know it's hard to say no sometimes, but if that's difficult for you, you could just say, hey guys, I have diarrhea, can't come out tonight. You know what I mean? If that's what it takes, then you gotta do it. And until you find new friends who don't go out on the weekend, that's what you're gonna have to do. You're gonna come up with excuses. They'll still love you. They'll see that you're making better decisions, and eventually they'll come around and be happy for you. But sometimes you gotta put some friends over here, some friends over here, and keep your eyes on the prize. All right, Wellington, how do you go from being your current self to creating your future self?
I have a very unconventional take on this. And honestly, the easiest way to do this is by looking at your finances. And the reason why I say this is unconventional is that most people are not gonna think that money is an indicator of identity, but it is, right? If you're somebody that loves to work out, if you're somebody that prioritizes your health, chances are most of your money is going into that. I know that's a fact for me, right? So if you're trying to change who you are, it's best to spend money in that area. It's best to allocate less in an area that maybe you don't want to prioritize anymore, and more into an area that you do want to prioritize. For me, if it's content and editing and becoming better at storytelling, maybe it's buying more courses, maybe it's learning from other creators, maybe it's spending more money in that regard.
I would say, like, for regular people, you're paying for that expense.
Yeah.
Like, instead of doing the regular, you're paying
Yes.
for that expensive.
Let's say, for example, you're somebody that's going out a lot on the weekends. Going out on the weekends is not cheap at all, by any means. But something that's also not cheap is an expensive gym membership. If you are putting money into an expensive gym membership, you're gonna have less allocation towards going out on the weekends, which is beneficial for you because you have less energy, less monetary value on the things that you're trying to avoid, and you have more energy expenditure, more money that you're valuing more towards the person who you want to become. So if you want to change who you are, if you're actually trying to implement new habits, look where your money's going and flowing, and use that as a resource to help you actually become more of who you want to be.
This looks so tough, though.
Bro, it's a whole different.
That was good.
I know what it is. I'm not kicking back. Get used to holding it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, get used to this, because this is like a weird feeling. It's not natural. If you can do a handstand with your knees tucked, then you could just, the kick up is the hardest part.
Well, both of them, right?
Because if they're both on the ground, you don't have any power to kick,
Yeah.
you know? I would have to, the only jump I can really do is like this. And then I'm
And then press yourself into it.
pressing like that. But
That's fire. Let me see. Are you flexing your toe up or down?
up.
Yeah, this is kind of hard as fuck.
Yeah, no, it's a weird.
Oh shit.
And that can even do so much for your hip, just going knee up. Right? You're feeling your hamstrings, right?
Yo, that shit hurts.
Right?
Damn.
Yeah, you should. I mean, what don't you get from that? You get the balance, you get a little bit of this, you get a little bit of that. You should start learning how to juggle. I would start going like this. With a firm foot. Remember to keep it firm. Nice. You got the firm hit. Nice. Toe to the face.
Damn, it's so hard to fucking aim with this shit.
Yeah, no, I feel. Nice. That was a really good one. Yep. Exactly. Nice. You got it.
Yeah.
Nice. That, yeah. Nice. You got that. Nice. Oh, that was good. Nah, because I saw you came up and I was like, oh shit.
Y'all fucking got that shit.
Yeah, no, you definitely